I get asked all the time what solution that I use to clean windows. And first, let me say it's not that big of a deal what you use. You can use dish soap or whatever, but this is what I prefer. Orange Krush is fantastic. I like Moerman's blue soap. I don't have any left. I use it all. But that gets a really good glide, especially if you're using a liquidator channel like me. Purple Power also works very well. And I like Glass Clean 4, but only if I'm adding Dawn to it for a little extra suds. And then I use, I think, this high slider from Window Cleaning Resource. That keeps the water from dissolving too quickly. One of my favorite things to use, in addition to everything else or anything else during the summertime when the water just evaporates too fast before you can squeegee it. So use whatever works for you. This doesn't have to be too complicated, but I do recommend using a specialty chemical designed for window cleaning because I found that Dawn in the past, while it works, you can get windows clean with this. It leaves a little bit of a residue in the pores of the glass and makes it so that it actually attracts dust and gets dirtier a little bit faster, which maybe is good for business, but I just prefer not to use it, at least not on its own. Orange Krush, for example, it'll actually make the steel wool corrode faster. Just a little thing we figured out. No matter what soap we were using, we'd have kind of a normal shelf life of the steel wool. We'd get through the end of a job without it going bad. But with the Orange Krush, within about an hour, there's rust on. When I say there's rust, I mean the whole steel wool pad will completely corrode and start turning orange. So we have to throw it away pretty quickly. So that just shows that it's got some strong oxidation power. It's a really good base and will do a good job for a lot of different things that we have on the glass. So it works really well. I've actually used this to polish windows off. If I don't have a small squeegee, I can put a little bit of this with water on a rag and buff the window clean really easily. The Purple Power and also another one similar, the Moerman Deluxe, their blue soap, work very similarly. This and Gladiator, they all work really well. They're typically a little bit thicker. They don't like Orange Krush is very thin. Other soaps like it. Glass Clean 4 is also extremely thin. And so they just kind of really mix into the water well. But if you want to apply straight onto the applicator, they give a really good slip. And with something like a Liquidator channel from Moerman, that thicker soap with more glide works really well. It makes a big difference in actually getting a high performance out of those squeegees. So again, guys, some of these soaps for window cleaning are specifically engineered, like Glass Clean 4. There used to be Glass Clean 3, or there still is, but they made Glass Clean 4 for places with really high amounts of hard water. So depending on your situation, some soaps might work better based on your region and the hardness of your water. So experiment a little bit, play around. Soap's cheap. Buy a bottle of each, buy a sample pack. From Window Cleaning Resource, they have the best deals around every time. And you can't go wrong with any one of them. Sometimes people just pick the favorite smell or the favorite kind of look. Colors make a big difference. So I like to wear a blue color in my, I'll use this little thing. And if I have blue in there, it matches my brand and it looks good. It can be that simple. It's not that important. You can get by with Dawn. I don't like it as much, but it'll work, right? So don't be too picky on the type of soap that you're using. Anything will do as long as you're cleaning the glass and using a squeegee to clear the soap and suds off of it. If you get it too sudsy, remember that just makes a bigger mess. So you got to have a little bit of a balance there. If it's not sudsy enough, sometimes it just doesn't look as cool. So Glass Clean 4, for instance, hardly any suds if it's by itself. That's why people add a little bit of Dawn just to make the bubbles. So after all that talking about soap, I almost forgot to show you guys exactly how much to use, but let's go through it a little bit. Generally speaking, the hotter it is or the more direct sunlight, the less soap you want to use. If you're using a Moerman Liquidator channel, you need a little bit more soap than you might need for like an Unger or Ettore brass channel. And with that said, everybody has their own feel, the different amount of pressure that we all put. We all have a little bit different touch, and so we need a little bit different formula. If it's sticking too much, if the squeegee's catching and it feels like it's just skipping and not doing a smooth job, then add a little bit of soap. If it's really sudsy and it's leaving more, streaks on the glass, then take a little soap out or add a little bit of water to the solution to kind of even it out. Now, as far as quantity, there's a lot of different ways to apply. So if you're going directly onto the applicator, just a couple of drops, just a slight line going across the top of it. And I'll do it on the other side as well, just barely a straight line. So you can barely see it, but it's just a really light dash. And then you can use just straight water. You don't necessarily have to have solution in this. And you have a wet applicator with a little bit of soap on it, and you just add water and soap as needed, and you just go by feel. Now, obviously, I don't like to use these big buckets while I'm working inside, but when you're working outside, especially out here in Texas when it gets really hot, you need all that water, you need all the hydration you can get. And so what you can do, you just squirt straight in there. And, there's no rule again. Like, I just do like 1, 2, 3 back and forth with the orange crush. If it's something a little thicker, it might be a little bit less than I'll add. And you could also just, again, apply a little bit extra onto your applicator and then swish it around in there. So right now, I have way more soap in here than I actually need, but it'll be fine. I combine flavors. You know, that's actually okay to do. It's not going to hurt anything. But I would say these are engineered specifically for different types of situations. And so they might not work better by combining them. Now, what I like to do is I'll use a spray bottle. Most often, I use one of these Home Depot little pump spray bottles. It holds more water than I'll ever need for a whole house. I like to use it more than just a plain bottle because I like to squirt it and clean the tracks with it. If I'm using just a squeeze bottle, this was an old soap bottle. I think it was purple, and it works great. You just put a little squirt in there. But what I'll do, I'll show you with this, just a slight drop into here, just like, that's about all you need. I put a little bit more on a wet applicator like this, and I'll have that in my tool belt along with this jug of fairly diluted soapy water. Now, you could also use these spray bottles. They work as well. If I'm going to use glass Clean 4, like I mentioned before, I'll do just a smidge of that. Boop, just enough. And then I'll do a little smidge of this. And then, I got the high slide. I looked it up. High slide from Window Cleaning Resource. And I'll just, boop, just a little drop is all you need. And I also have used Sorbo's Squeegee Glide as well. It works just as well. It's just smaller, more condensed. Literally just one drop will do. I've just typically gone with the high slide from Window Cleaning Resource because it's a little bit better deal overall. Now with this, I just start out with my applicator a little wet. If I'm going inside, I'll wring it out a little bit. If I'm working outside in the heat, I'll use the big bucket, or, I have a few buckets, but that's just the 2-gallon Adare bucket. Works really well for a lot of situations. I prefer that because it's not as heavy or bulky as the 6-gallon buckets. But if I'm working inside, I'll just use something like this. And again, favorite color works for choosing your soap. Dawn is not engineered for windows, so it does stay around in the pores. The other ones leave a little bit better gleam behind, and they stay cleaner longer. I've done experiments in the past. I don't have any video evidence. You'll have to take my word for it or do it yourself and figure out. But I would say that typically something like Orange Crush, Purple Power, or Glass Clean 4, it will leave the windows sparkling a little bit more for a little bit longer. So in my mind and my heart, I think it's a better investment. So if you guys have a special combo or formula you like to use, I don't like to put like ammonia or vinegar or any other weird things in there. I feel like the engineered soaps are good enough for me. So if you got a special formula though, go ahead and let us know your recipe. A drip and a glog or what, we have weird ways of measuring these things sometimes, but I'll see you guys in the next video.